So here's one that perfectly demonstrates, which I talk about a lot in my other channels, about how you're going to get into a relationship, particularly a marriage. You must be aligned with your girl about a lot of things, particularly about money and spending and that type of thing. Because if you as a man are by nature a saver and want to live beneath your means and build wealth and all that, and she's a spender and wants to have expensive things and show off and live beyond her means, there's going to be a major problem here. This is what we have in this story here. When he's frugal, she's not. Title: Am I the a-hole for telling my wife I do not want to live more in line with my wealth and social status? Says here, I've been with my wife since university. We've been together for 14 years and married for 8. My practice has been doing very well, and I do joint finances with my wife. Smack! That's a dumb thing. You should have your account that your paycheck's go into, and her account that her paycheck's go into, and maybe a joint account to pay for the bills, but you can't let her have access to what you deposit your money into. Big mistake. As well as having joint credit cards that she can rack up. We've recently been arguing more about money. I'm a frugal person when it comes to materialistic items. I'm all for spending on trips and adventures, and we do so often. I just despise spending money on items that overly show my wealth. My wife has made claims that it is unfair and embarrassing that we live the way we do. She wants to be more in line with her friends. There you go. By and large, guys can live with little. You know, a guy doesn't need a big mansion to live in or fancy this, fancy that. It's typically the wife that wants to have the bigger house in the fancier neighborhood, kids going off to expensive schools, membership at clubs, expensive cars, clothes, all of which are oftentimes financed, aren't actually owned, that type of thing. Now, there are exceptions, of course, and I got no problem with treating yourself every once in a while, but when you're living beyond your means, that's the dumbest thing ever. And this is why these two don't work out. And she said, in line with her friends, to keep up with the Joneses. I have told her countless times that this simply is not my style. I'm fine with what we have, and I do not need to show off or prove something to others. You're darn right. A real man doesn't need to show off to anyone. I do understand and see people do talk about us, but I just don't care. In other words, probably her snotty friends are talking about that she doesn't have the latest handbag or style from Louis Vuitton or whatever. Well, here's an idea. How about she gets a fucking job? Should I have listened to my wife's pleas and given her finer things to speak of so she would feel more included or less of an outcast? As thank you for all the replies and insight, I will speak to her in the morning and try to come up with a compromise. Maybe I will suggest that she can go back. She can go back to work part-time. There's an idea. He's bringing home the bacon. She can get off her ass and get a job. But the way I see this is she's going to divorce him and try to get her pound of flesh. That's probably what's going to happen here. I will still cover every joint expense, and the money she gets from work she can use however she sees fit. He says, I do not expect this story to blow up. I've been given a lot to think about and enjoying the discussion that is being had. I do appreciate it. Most likely, this will be my final update. Did not expect this thread to blow up the way it did. I did enjoy a few discussion threads. Time to go back to adulting. Either way, thanks for everything. This has been informative, insightful, blah, blah, blah. And he says here, I also chose not to open the idea of her working. I just told her I would take off next week so we can take some time to figure out exactly what is going on. I will tackle her spending, safety concerns, and what she wants out of the marriage and life. Thanks again for the insights. I remember I will post an update after we talk. Dude, you're not going to change. If all her friends are always having the latest car, shoes, handbags, and they're probably living on debt anyway, too, it's probably not going to change for her. And I got to wonder if she married you purely for your potential, what you could earn in the life that she thought she was going to get. These two are not compatible, and this is not going to work long term. And it sounds like he's been with her, married for 8 years, together 14, I think, so probably they're in their mid-30s. His prime is just really beginning. Might be best if things don't work out soon. They cut ties, he takes the hit, and moves on. Hopefully she doesn't get a piece of his practice, but he might have to settle big time to get out of that. But you can't be with someone that is completely on a different level than you when it comes to spending money and resources. He mentioned that he does do things like they travel a lot and see the world, but he just doesn't need bullshit stuff like super expensive cars and shoes and electronics and all that bullshit, but a lot of people are like that and they have to show off. They just aren't compatible. So we shall see. So listen, guys, really get to know your girl, see what she's like in that department before you even consider putting a ring on her finger.